This is Vito LaBella. Vito LaBella, fighting for New York. I'm Vito LaBella. Vito LaBella, fighting for New York, where we talk to everyday New Yorkers who take a break from their busy lives to fight for the city and the state that they love. Today, my guest is retired Marine Sergeant Gonzalo Duran, a combat veteran in Iraq, and a fellow candidate for City Council. Gonzalo is in the 38th. I'm in the 43rd. Gonzalo, welcome. Tell us about yourself.
Well, my name is Gonzalo Duran. I'm a former United States Marine Sergeant. I'm currently the Chief Executive Officer for Devil Dog USA, and I was just recently appointed the District Leader for the 79th District. And I'm running for City Council District 17 in the Bronx.
Well, thank you. So your work in the community, you're doing voter registration, voter outreach, trying to get awareness. We had a super low turnout in the primary. This is expected to be a very low turnout election because it's an off year. There's no gubernatorial, presidential, or mayoral candidate. So we're on the top of the ticket. Mm-hmm. It's Gonzalo, whoever you're running against, and Vito LaBella, and whoever I'm running against. So what strategies are you using to get to the community and to get where they are so that you can get them to participate?
So, well, first I'd like to step back just a little bit.
Sure.
For City Council, so that the public know that I believe, I can't remember the top of my head, but I believe there's 41 City Councils. 51, and only less than 30 are even being challenged. So that means most of the people that are the incumbents are just walking into this after these years that we've had with them already for so long. So when I saw that, and I said to myself, this year I'm going to play a different ball game. Not only am I going to attack it in one way, but I've attacked it in multiple ways. So for example, working with the Bronx Veteran Political Party, which is a nonprofit that is trying to increase the voter registration for veterans and the community members, organ donation, and also anything else that they can do to further civic engagement. So that's one aspect of it. Recently, I was endorsed by the Bronx County Conservative Party. Now, most people say well, in the Conservative Party, so we don't expect much. But what I did was I took the position for District Leader. First I petitioned for it, and then when I got it, I said, you know what? Now let me take the step to bring in more people with me. So try to build a bigger foundation and a reputation to build it up, and now expand that even more. So right now, I started the South Bronx Conservative Party group, and we helped assess maybe roughly, I want to say about anywhere between 5 to 13 individuals to run under the Conservative Party into these upcoming lower level elected positions. And the goal is to now have a whole unified South Bronx with individuals elected within the urban community. So then my next step after that would be to try to take over the whole Bronx. In that capacity, I'm doing events with my party now, giving out awards, making the scene that we're already in the position, mm-hmm. no different than any incumbent in an office right now.
So look, it seems like Democrats outnumber Republicans, conservatives, 8-1, 10-1 in the Bronx. I can't even imagine. It's probably even higher than that. It seems like everyone's told when they come here from wherever, you got to register as a Democrat. Mm-hmm. What's some of your arguments to counter that and make the Republican conservative parties more attractive, especially to Hispanic voters?
Well, that statement right there is solidified. It's certified that when individuals come to this country, they are already indoctrinated that the Democratic Party is the way to go, and it's in the mindset that I've verified this with reaching out to not only the masses but also the constituents within my district, and for them, it's the mindset is the Democrats are for the poor, the Republicans are for the rich, and which it's not entirely like that. You have to think of it more as ideologies instead of financial perspective only. With that being said, recently, part of my job as a nonprofit is help individuals, become documented. I recently helped out an individual who was been into this country for maybe roughly 15 years, and she had a green card, but she was on the ropes of registering to be a citizen. So I told her all the things and steps, and then next thing I know, the next step was she wanted to vote. So I said, well, let's talk about this. What's your goal? What do you want to do? Who are you looking into? And most people don't know who their elected officials are, and the ones that you talk to most of the time, unfortunately, they're so sick of the way the system is. They'll just say, it doesn't matter to me who's going to be in or what's going on, just whatever, just leave it alone. So giving that information to the community member, she registered as a conservative, and now she's an elected official within the lower party. And that's my goal, one step at a time. But now I have another person to back me up, and now with those individuals coming in together, it gives them more opportunities to branch out. No different than a missionary, work or something like that.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this. Now, there's issues that, I'm involved in the schools, right? So I was a retired lieutenant, NYPD 32 years, and when I retired, I got involved in education advocacy. And, that is a rabbit hole that you go down and you just keep getting sucked in. To me, it's horrible that 60% of our Black and Hispanic kids do not read at grade level. And they want to blame everything under the sun, but we know there are charter schools that are doing solid work, getting these kids not only at grade level but excelling, and they're in the same neighborhoods, in the same schools as the general education kids right next to them. So we know what we have to do. It's all about structure and discipline and teaching the parents as well as the children, starting from kindergarten on up, how to go about what are the best practices to learn, to make education a priority. Everyone says education is so important to me, but you know what? That's fine, everyone says that, but you got to read to your child from the time they're born. You have to explain to parents that this is important every single day to do something with your child. And then, school itself has to be longer days, maybe 6 days a week, especially in communities that the kids aren't doing as well as more affluent communities.
Of course, yes.
This is craziness, but but unfortunately, our friends in the Democrat Party, the progressives, they only want equity. They only want, to help brown and Black kids if it doesn't piss off the teachers union. If it doesn't interfere with their goal of utopia public schools where they can indoctrinate children. And I know you're familiar with some of the crazy stuff that's going on, especially, many of my community. See, District 43 where I'm running, they advertise it as an Asian opportunity seat, but there's 15% Hispanics in my community. I reached out to them because everybody, no matter how small, deserves to have a voice. Except for me, I don't have a voice. I'm hoping that the post-production guy can make me sound like Morgan Freeman. But, there are no promises, he told me. I make sure, we're both candidates, so even my campaign literature, it's very important to me because we have a Russian population, we have Hispanic population, and Chinese. So all of my work is translated English, Chinese, Russian, Spanish. I make that a point. Because, listen, this is stuff, I was the PTA president for 5 years, and my first things that I did were make sure that we were reaching out to the communities in their language. It's not their obligation to learn English, it's our obligation to give them the information in their home language, make sure that they have the information. Mm-hmm. This idea that when my grandparents came, everyone's got to learn English. You know what? You learn English, it's nice. But, we're one technological innovation away where we all have AirPods in our ears and iPhone 27s in our pocket, and I speak to you in my home language, and you hear me in yours, and vice versa. And we have a real-time conversation. That technology is right there, and that makes all this nonsense and this divisiveness about language this, language that, it makes it move. It's about helping people, meeting people where they are, and bringing them up as best we can.
And until we get to that point, right now we have to focus on what's going on in the communities. You know, recently I was endorsed by the Parent Choice Party, which I wasn't expecting.
Nice.
Because, you know, I stand in the middle on a lot of issues. Well, when it came into this particular situation, you know, right now the school officials, administrators, aren't allowed to ask any information on these undocumented individuals coming into the school system. So how do you assess them? How do you get the, let's say, vaccinations or stuff like that? You know, those are things that we have to worry about, because we're all children of, you know, the American dream. We're all immigrants, but at the same time, we can't just focus on the ones that are in front of us. We have to think about the ones that have come before, not only just legally, but through the system as well. So for me, you know, working as an executive for a nonprofit, you know, when people walk into my door, you know, I'm not allowed to be prejudiced on any particular matters. I'm there to help somebody. So when there's a little girl in the winter needing a jacket because she's freezing wherever she's being sheltered, I just want to get that jacket. How everything comes together is the dilemma that we're facing. When you spoke regarding the political, you know, right now, the New York City, I think there's only maybe a handful of non-Democrats, which shows immediately there's an imbalance, and that's why I chose to partner with the Conservative Party, because I want to be that middle ground of trying to bring in some balance. And if you see my work, you'll see that. But for this specific situation, having the immigration part, have me as an executive for a nonprofit, I'm trying to figure out how can I help these individuals, but at the same time, the political people are just trying to get the funding and blame the problem and then ask for funding at the higher level, at the federal and state level, when they should be focusing on trying to change some of the problems that we're having at our level, and then, you know, reaching out, not just creating more influx of debt. And you know, our budget, I'm sure are tremendously overpassed that, yet you can see them begging every couple months saying we need more money from the higher ups, but at the same time they're continually letting all these problems continue on.
Yeah. What do you see as the number one issue right now in the Hispanic community, and is it different depending on which neighborhoods you live in the city?
Well, every part of every neighborhood is very different. I mean, even in the Bronx, there's a difference between you see in the South Bronx and in the North Bronx. But you know, every section where you see, I don't want anybody to think, you know, the Bronx has a negative perspective on it. I can tell you right now, there are beautiful sections all over the Bronx, South Bronx, East Bronx, West Bronx, etc. My biggest situation while I was doing canvassing through all these areas, and I wasn't just doing canvassing in my area, my district, I was going to the neighboring districts to get information and gather. And what I can get from the constituents is that the youth, that's the biggest problem. So one of the things that I did last year was start a mentorship program. Besides being a decorated Marine and executive for over 10 years in the nonprofit world, I'm also a Father of the Year recipient, Advocate of the Year, Veteran of the Year, Humanitarian of the Year, etc. And I even a NASDAQ opener regarding the business aspect. You know, I took all that stuff, I made an outline, I made a plan, started a mentorship program where I have anywhere between 2 to 4 teens coming into my office for 2 months intervals to give them, you know, firsthand experience into the work that I do personally, and then show them what their capabilities are doing, saying, look, you look just like me, and you can be as successful or more successful. Your point of view of successful is your choice. You could be wealthy, you could be in a higher position, whatever that thing is, just a regular family man and have that opportunity. That's where I want you to get. So for me, the biggest thing is the youth and having, once again, this is not me trying to say specifically, but this is what the constituents told me. They want more programs for the youth, and they believe that will lessen the crime rate that we have in our communities.
Great. I mean, listen, it's very important to me to reach out, like I said, to every community. What do you think as far as, I know a lot of religious immigrants are religious, and they're concerned that some of their beliefs are being disregarded. There's a very cavalier attitude. I told people, whether your conservative religion is conservative Islam, conservative Christianity, conservative Judaism, there is secular and there is religious. And we respect everybody's right to be who they are. And we want to support everybody in every single community. But by the same token, we have to make sure that religious institutions are afforded that same right. I think sometimes the progressive left, they kind of they make fun of religious institutions and religion in general. And I don't think that's right. Parents, especially in these, they're being told that there's a lot of inappropriate contact in school, and it's age inappropriate. And parents have a right to know, and if for religious reasons they want to opt out of certain things, they should have the right to do so. But first, they have to be notified.
Yes, I agree with you. When it comes to the religious aspect, I'm also a non-denominational chaplain with the Chaplain Workers Task Force, and I had this conversation yesterday in an interview where, first, working with that organization, the Chaplain Chaplains Workers Task Force. My goal as a director of veteran and community service is to bring more veterans into the church. Now, I'm not trying to force it upon them. What I'm trying to do is give them an opening. As a non-denominational chaplain, I've taken the knowledge of different religions and tried to put that in front of them. Just like if I was in the military, I was working as a chaplain there. When you speak about the church, the church has been in a downfall for many years. And when individuals from other countries are coming, and the door is wide open for them to come in, and the church is one of the most particular places because most of the communities in the world are Catholics. Mm-hmm. So they're going to go to that route. Now, they also have their own religions and different ones. And what I've been doing is speaking to these the religious leaders, and I've seen that a lot of the individuals that are coming that are undocumented into the religion sector, you can see, and when you speak to them, they have a lot of traditional values. So when you speak to them, they're not seeing just, once again, if you take away the financial aspect of, and you focus on the ideologies of the politics part, you'll see that a lot of their views happen to be more conservative.
Yeah.
So once again, getting one by one and expanding that is what I've been trying to do in the communities.
That's great. Well, listen, I want to thank you for your service as a Marine Sergeant and for your community service after you're back home. And these are New Yorkers fighting for New York. And Gonzalo, thank you very much.
Well, if I could say one more thing.
Absolutely, please.
Right now, you have, if you're looking for money for work, or you just want to get involved in civic engagement, right now you have about a week left to be a poll worker, and you can make up to $3,000. And it doesn't matter if you're registered or not to vote, or what party you're in. They will register you on the spot, and then they'll set you in your way. So for you to get that, just go to your local board of election and register in person, or go to vote.nyc and check under the voter poll workers, and then you'll be set right there.
Great. And since we're talking about voting, look, sometimes conservatives, Republicans, they say, well, we have to vote on election day. We can't think like that anymore. With something called, it's a nationwide movement, Bank Your Vote. Bank Your Vote. Early voting starts October 28th, and it goes to November 5th. As soon as you can vote, please do so. Election day, of course, is November 7th, but we need you to take time out of your day. During the early voting, there's hardly anybody there. Jump in after work, after school, before work, before school. Get it done. And, I wouldn't mind if you voted for the conservative candidates in whatever district you happen to be in. So I'm Vito LaBella and Gonzalo Duran. Thank you so much for joining us in this great discussion. Take care.